getting ready to start with our Success Over Struggle panel. And before I do that, I want to give a big shout out again to everyone who donated to the 50/50 raffle for Women for Women Tempe. We have a winner. So our winner is winning $50, and our winner is Callie Unruh. Where's Callie? I know Callie's here. There you are! Yay! So Callie, if you want to go ahead and collect or donate back, whatever you want to do is up to you, but just go see them when you're ready. All right. So Jeff, both? One? Oh, it won't? Okay, so Jeff is recording this for all of you who maybe can't sit through the whole thing or are missing it tonight. Like, I want to go ahead and record the Success Over Struggle panel. So we have this and we have this. So we're just going to make it work. All right. Okay. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out tonight to the 3-year anniversary. So Social Connect started, like I said, in April 2018, but one of the things that I really wanted to do was interview some really cool rockstar entrepreneurs. I love everybody's stories. I love being able to learn and being inspired by them. And so I've invited some panelists here to share their stories and some of their craziest moments being an entrepreneur. I know we've all had them or will have them. So I'll introduce them in just a second. But Success Over Struggle came about because I was sitting in my kitchen eating a bowl of cereal and I was like, I want to create a panel, but what do we call this? And SOS, like throw me a life jacket, I really could use one, was what came to mind. So Success Over Struggle was born. And I've been hosting these panels ever since 2018, have had so many different entrepreneurs that you typically wouldn't meet at networking events come to these and share their stories. So I'm really, really amazed at how this has all turned out. So I want to give a big shout out to Julia Macaluso. She's with GR8FR8. She is the CEO. And then we've got Justin Mercer. You might see his billboards, his limo running around town. Justin is the owner of Call Tattoo Realty. And then, of course, we've got Joanna Couch, the soap gal. Her story is so amazing. I just have to say that when I posted the flyers of who was speaking on my panel, I had people from Tennessee reaching out going, I know Joanna. How do you know Joanna? We buy soap from Joanna. So Joanna with the soap gal. And so I'm so impressed and inspired. And I will say that everybody here is just very humbling too. They don't take their success for granted. They know it took a lot of hard work to get here. And I want to hear from them personally what it took to get here. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce, again, Julia Macaluso. Her husband, Nick, is here. Nick, I know they just went to the Diamondbacks game. I'm so sorry. I noticed you're not wearing D-backs wear, though. Oh. He's wearing the Brewers. All right, so Julia, tell us, what was the moment when you decided I'm going to become an entrepreneur? Because I know a little bit about your story. You were a teacher, and now you're running a freight company. So tell me, riddle me that. How does that work?
Try to double fist it here. Well, I married into it, quite honestly. It was a team effort. Again, I was a kindergarten teacher in my past life, and some of you gals heard my story earlier. In 2014, mid-year, my dad actually was hospitalized for H1N1. I was still teaching kindergarten, so I would teach most of the day, run to the hospital, be with my family, and then go back, and had to get a lot of sub-plans going on, and Nick and I were actually supposed to get married on 4/4/14. Unfortunately, my dad didn't make it. He passed away, and I went through a rough patch. And Nick actually said, well, have you considered not teaching? And I was like, what? Those kids need me. But here's the deal, my family needed me, and I needed to take care of myself as well. And so stopped teaching. I was subbing at the time. Am I talking to both of these? And my husband, Nick, has actually been in the freight forwarding logistics industry for, almost 30 years. And I was very intrigued. I didn't know a whole lot about freight. I would see semi-trucks on the freeway, and they scared me, quite honestly, so I would avoid. However, I love people. And as a teacher, I learned to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. I love cold calls, and so I just started going into the back of warehouses and meeting folks, and kind of went from there. And we had an opportunity. We were working for a company back in 2017, and we had an opportunity to buy the business for ourselves, and it's something that we'd always wanted. So teacher and me came up with the GR8FR8. We know how to be a little strategic. So GR8FR8, it's like, why can't we be a freight forwarder that actually has decent customer service, that picks up the phone, that can take great care of your freight, and you're not a number in this industry, because there are hundreds of companies like us, and we want to distinguish ourselves. So that's how we got the ball rolling in December of 2018.
Well, we're really similar. I don't know how similar we are. I actually worked with kids my whole life. I was a teacher before the tattoos, yes. I taught kindergarten through 7th grade. I worked with kids for like 8 years. Teachers don't make anything in Arizona, so I went from $31,000 a year, and I need more than that. So I started with PepsiCo, and I was a driver. I drove a semi for 13 years for Pepsi and Frito-Lay. Between that career, it ruined 2 marriages, ruined my life, ruined my mindset. It was long hours, back-breaking labor, leave for work at 2 in the morning, come back at 5 at night. There was just no life. The quality of life went way down, and just 13 years of just the same thing over and over again. I've always had the idea to do real estate and brand myself around it, and that's what I decided to do. I didn't think it would work. Worked a lot better than I thought it would, but I didn't know I was an entrepreneur until I was an entrepreneur, and I didn't know I was a marketer until I was a marketer. I didn't know, like, any of the success I've had right now, I never knew I had in me until I started doing it. So now I'm more like trying to help entrepreneurs and people that are just, they think they're at the end of their life with just the dead end job, and I'm trying to help them know there's more out there. So it turned from never thinking I'd do it to doing it, to running a team, to doing other things outside of it. So I'm excited. I'm still learning. I've only been an entrepreneur for 3 years, not even 3 years. So it's still all a new process for me, and learning every day.
Well, the first thing I want to say is it's goals for everyone to be able to have to use freight trucks when you are a maker. My name is Joanna, and I think I was always an entrepreneur. My mom tells me stories of when I was a little girl and she would have parties, and I'd have my penny bank there for the people to be able to get into our party. So I have always grown up. My family would do the art festivals in downtown Glendale and Phoenix, and my grandmother would paint pictures that would actually be bulletin boards that saying, "Welcome to, Arizona." So we're Arizona natives, and I graduated, was going to go in the ministry, but God had a different story, and I became a decorative painter. And I was a decorative painter with my mother and my grandmother, and then my grandmother passed away, and it was just me and my mother. But I did that until pho was the new F word. And then from there, we decided to do more craft fairs and more shows, and did furniture. And I got a goat because of health issues. And I started making cheese and caramels and giving those to my customers, and they were asking me if they could buy them. And then from there, I had to figure out what the compliancy is. So I stopped making cheese and caramels because that was going to be $60,000. So I then have to go back to my CEO, which is Jesus. And I opened up the Bible, and then I felt like I needed to look at my great-grandmother's recipe book. And so I opened up her book, and guess what? I seen hogwash. And I just changed, I did goat's milk and sodium hydroxide and some lard, and started making soap, giving that away, started just diving in and learning. I think the key is entrepreneurship is always learning, always growing, and it just grew. And when you make a good product and you put passion behind it and it becomes your calling, it's only going to succeed. So that's what's happened. So from there, I kicked out my chickens, had my first 100 square feet, started making soaps, doing fairs, festivals, won blue ribbons. From there, farmers markets. Then from there, it's private label, started making soap for other people. And I am blessed because now I have 55 employees in a 44,000 square foot facility, and we do about 10 million bars a year. So God has made our brand into something special, and he can do that with each and every one of us, because each and every one of us are unique and special and all have a calling. And it's not entrepreneurship, it's finding your passion.
That's incredible. So I reached out to Local First Arizona. If you guys are not Local First Arizona members, I highly recommend you become a part of it. But I asked Thomas Barr, I'm like, who do you know that's a female rock star? And he was like, Joanna. So of course I was like, I have to have Joanna on the panel. So thank you so much, Joanna, for sharing your story. As I mentioned, people across the country are like, I know this girl. We buy soaps from this girl. So impressive story. All right, I want to learn from each of you, and I'm sure the audience would love to learn, what is one of the biggest struggles you've had in your business?
Well, I see some familiar faces here, and I'm sure that they're going to smile and nod. A struggle that I have had is balancing my time. I love, love, love volunteering. We're members of the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce. I was the chair of the Women Empowered Committee. I love all of our local nonprofits, and even with my name tag, some people are like, are you working for the chamber? So I think I've learned, and it's still a work in progress, to say no to some things, and it's okay. But I would say that's been one of my biggest struggle, is just that time management. I have gotten a lot better. My husband says all the time, and we say this to our employees, work to live, don't live to work. So when you take those vacations, be present with our kids, be present. I've gotten a whole lot better at that, but I would say one of my biggest struggles is just tackling what to say yes to and what to say no to outside of the business.
Oh man, there's so many struggles. I'd say the biggest struggle I had is I've never owned a business before. I've never known business. I grew up, we didn't have money growing up, so I grew up poor, had a job where I was never like needed as far as like your input. I was always just an employee. So working for myself, I didn't know money, I didn't know business at a high level. So in real estate, when you do well, it does very well, and you get this influx of money, and I've never had to value a dollar. It's never been there. So like me, I was giving away. I was solving other people's problems. I was helping everyone around me. I was helping everyone but myself. Put me in a bad position. I'm playing catch up, but I'll never regret it because I learned more this year than I've ever learned in my life. And that was this was a tough year for everybody in real estate. So I learned more going through the struggles and seeing everyone around me. So just knowing the business and how to manage a business and taxes and ROIs, and you can't make everybody happy, and you can't help everybody around you, and those are the things I learned the hard way through real estate.
I think there's one thing, pay yourself. I think that's the most important thing that we need to learn, is knowing that our own self-worth, because if we can't pay ourselves, we can't pay our employees and get employees. So I think that the thing that I learned was to delegate, to hire, to create systems. We all need to have standard systems of what we need to do. So when a new person comes in, you don't have to go down and train them. They can watch the systems. We're so blessed in technology. Use that. Create those YouTubes that no one can see but you, and be able to put an employee in front of there and say, have a great day. You're learning your job, you know? So have the systems, delegate, and don't be afraid to scale.
Right, I love asking this question, and I'll share my crazy. So the question that I have for each one of our panelists is, what is the craziest thing someone's ever told you being a business owner, or the craziest thing you've witnessed? So I'm going to give a shout out to Nat Handler. Raise your hand, Nat. So you guys know it's my 3-year anniversary, but it's actually my 5-year anniversary because COVID took 2 years away. But when I first started this, you guys know I'm very big into genuine conversations, no business cards. It's all about teaching people how to get back to genuine connecting. And I remember when I first launched this and people were like, you are nuts, you are crazy. People don't know how to network like this. I actually brought a shredder to my very first one, if you remember that, Nat. I was like, you bring in your business cards, throw them in the shredder. But you guys know, when you're building a business and where you're building an idea, you have to have the proof of concept, but you've got to work at it, and you've got to know that there has to be momentum picking up. And Nat, if you remember, I held it in this little dive bar in Scottsdale, right in Old Town, and I remember telling the business owner, the owner of the bar, that I think I'm going to move locations later. I don't think this is really suiting me, but we're good. We're good now. We're good. And he was just like, Tisha, this right here, and mind you, it was probably about 20 people that came to Social Connect when I first started, and I had to beg people. Like, I did not make a dime for at least 8 months doing the event, that he was like, this is as good as it's going to get for you. Just sit tight. Like, just stay. And I was like, You're crazy. You crazy. The next year, Dave and Buster's in Tempe sponsored it, and then of course Courthouse came and sponsored it when I brought it back after COVID. And that's what you've got to have. You've got to have that willpower. You've got to have that perseverance that you're like, this is going to work. I know it's going to work because like Joanna said, I believe in this concept. So craziest thing where you're just like, I'm biting my tongue because if I say something, we might get into a big brawl. So what is it for you, Julia? What was that one thing, or maybe just the craziest thing you've witnessed?
I have like a couple of things. I think first and foremost, it would be anyone can do it. It's easy, and you probably have lots and lots of money, right? A lot of people don't understand the hard work and sacrifice that comes, and we put our employees first. So yeah, there were times at the beginning where we couldn't pay ourselves, but I think that a lot of people see success, whether it's on social media or whatnot, and they do a lot of assuming, but yeah, I would say it's easy, and you probably are rolling in the dough, huh?
Yeah, right?
Craziest thing I've heard, it was on social media, so it wasn't heard directly, but it was read as heard. Is I put a billboard in Arcadia, and somebody had put on their page, he'll never be anything with his life or something like that. It was. She put something, I can't believe this is a real thing, and somebody commented, he'll never have success with his life or something. And to me, it's crazy because it's somebody that's in the industry I'm in. Billboards to me like represented like success. So like when I got one, I was super proud of myself. When I see one, my first thought is they know what they're doing with their life. When I see someone driving a Mercedes, I'm like, they must have success. Like the visual for me of that is that person is doing something with their life. And for someone to say the opposite, and I think it was because of the way I looked, shows how ignorant people are. And the ignorance is why I helped start this new company I'm doing, Successful Misfits. And it was ignorant comments like that is what drives me to keep going. It's just people looking at anybody by their background and what they look like and judging them as who they are as a person. So this is me in a billboard with a smile on my face in the middle of Arcadia, like presenting myself as an agent, and somebody's going to tear me down and say he'll never do anything in his life. Like it wasn't like I was committing a crime or something. So it showed me how ignorant people can be, and how when I share it to expose their ignorance to the world, how the first thing they do is run and hide and erase it. So they tear somebody down for the way they look or the way they act or this or that, but they're afraid to tell who they really are as a person. So yes, you may attack somebody for the way they look, but they're also proud of who they are, and they don't have to hide from their own feelings. So that was the craziest thing I've experienced.
I think that the craziest thing is when people don't think that they can be mainstream. When people don't think that their product and what they do deserves to be on the shelf of bashes. I think that everyone has it capable to do it inside them, but what I hear a lot is people just assume that you are wealthy, and they just assume that you're always going on vacation. But like what you said, I get that a whole lot too. But the craziest thing I ever heard is that a woman can't make mint soap. So so I got my very first space, and I was all excited because I was walking to another soaper's space, and I was like, what got you into soap? And he's all talking to me, and he's like, a woman can't make men's soap. And I'm sorry, I make thousands of bars, millions of bars of men's soap. I make soap for everybody. But that was probably the craziest thing I ever heard.
So classic. Did you just roll your eyes and you're like, see that? That's my soap.
It was like him on the billboard, I'm going to be everywhere. He's going to know. Yeah, we're going to be seeing him all up and down the highway.
Yeah. Can I say something too? Because Nat and I were actually working on an event, and we brought Justin in as one of our speakers for a branding event. Because your brand is amazing. You do such a good job, and you're so memorable with your brand, Justin. But I know, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't possibly talk to this guy with the limo and the billboard. But then I got on a Zoom call with Justin. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's cool as hell. I like this guy. And I asked him about being on the panel. And he's like, yeah, of course I'll be on the panel. So I think we have that misconception about people, but we're people, right? We don't have to hide, we just have to go and ask and start up the conversation. And this is a perfect way to do that. So thank you. Thank you all. Oh my goodness. goodness, I'm just having such a blast up here with you. All right, so I know we're winding down, and I want to make sure we get out of here at 6 o'clock. I want to have every one of you just give me a shameless plug. What's going on in your life? What's on the horizon? What are you working on? Shameless plug. Can I give a shameless plug real quick for this gal?
Oh.
Okay, so some of you know Rob Brown. He might have left already because he had somewhere to be. So Rob is with C-Suite for Christ, and he's one of my sponsors. Stevie and I met there. Julia and I met there. Julia and I actually spoke and gave our testimonies in December. And then Julia turned around and introduced me to the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce. So I'm actually their keynote speaker on Tuesday because of her. So I was like, I'm going to return the favor. Come on and be on my panel. So this is what you do. You support one another and you help each other. So I just want to say thanks for that shout out because that's my next gig. Thank you.
So everyone know, mark your calendars, that's next week on the 18th, the Women Empowered Committee at Deloitte. And so I'm a firm believer that people come into your lives at the perfect time and for a reason, whether it's for a minute, whether it's for years. And I just love how, especially recently, God has just been bringing all of these people into my life for a reason. And so it worked out absolutely amazing. So if you want to learn more about Great Freight, www.greatfreightlogistics.com. We actually have a nonprofit that will be starting up pretty soon, and so I don't want to say anything about that right now. We are very much into we live in Gilbert, we work in Gilbert, we love giving back to the community. So gosh, we have the Women Empowered event coming up next week. I'm part of Gilbert Leadership this year as well. And our class project for this year is a Hope Walk at the Riparian Preserve. Our project day is on Saturday and our reveal is on May 6th. It's going to be a 0.75 mile trail. If you've never been to the Riparian Preserve, please visit. And it's going to have mental health tips along the way, suicide prevention tips, and a big mural that says hope on it, just so we can provide that hope that we all need to come together and, share our light with the community. So I think that's probably it. Thank you.
Shameless plug. I started a team this year, so now we have a team growing to that. We have 15 agents, so Call Tattoos, the real estate group, www.calltattoo.com is for the team. Greg in the back, we started an investment group, so now we used to buy homes in Arizona to flip and all that. Now we're buying homes cash nationwide, so we started that and growing that. But I think the biggest thing that the future holds for me is the group Successful Misfits. So I created that as a marketing course, and I stopped it to do clothing line, and now it's a meetup, it's a podcast, and it is a group of entrepreneurs. It's a group for everybody. Entrepreneurs, people that have a dark past, have something they're afraid of, grew up differently. We have people in there that are immigrants that came to the country, lived in cars while their parents picked strawberries in fields, and now they're multimillionaires. We have a guy who was in prison for 12 years, spent 12 years in prison, came out, almost died from a drug overdose because he didn't think he had anything left with his life. Now he's a multimillionaire, inspiring. He's creating programs for prisoners to create businesses in prison so they have success when they come out. They're not 90% of people that come out of prison go back or commit crimes or die. So he's creating something to better the community that way. We have a guy. He 5 years ago was a homeless meth addict. Now he's worth $50 million. He has 10 sober houses. He has 20 behavioral health facilities. So Successful Misfits is a group of people that come together that have a dark past, or they grew up differently, or have a different look, and they've created success, and they're not the stereotypical person that you think they would be. And they're inspiring other people that they're worth something. And our major goal is you're worth what you create. Like, no matter where you came from, like, you're worth more if you have the drive to do it. So Successful Misfits. We have an event in June we're holding in Scottsdale at Orange Tree Resort. We're gonna have 7 speakers, and there's 7 amazing speakers that have a dark past and crazy past, and looking at them and their past, they would be the people you write off in life. And those are the people that they're worth millions now, and they've created success where others think they fail, and we're just trying to change the attitude around that.
Okay, I know everyone here has the internet, and I know everyone knows Amazon. The Bubble Factory is actually my house brand. So I'm the soap gal. We do private label soap manufacturing, but I wanted to have a brand that represents my group, my people, my community. So we worked together and we got the group a 3-bar set called the Bubble Factory. So it's the Soap Gal and the Bubble Factory. And so the profits of this soap goes to our employee fund. So when someone is sick and they can't come to work and can't be able to cover their payroll, or their bills, we can pull it out of that fund. If we have birthday parties, we can pull it out of that fund. We do a trip, we pull it out of that fund. So that's kind of what the Bubble Factory is about, is a brand to represent the workers of the Soap Gal. We also have, my dream was, I'm an Arizonian, so everyone knows Mill Avenue, and if you're a kid from the 90s, you walked Mill Avenue all the time. And so my dream was always to have a little shop on Mill Avenue, and my family nickname was Rosebud. And so I have Rosebud's Bath Boutique on Mill Avenue. Goals, oh my gosh, it's so cool. But you walk in, you can make your own candles, rediffuser, bath soaks, enjoy the luxury of just enjoying your life with your family and your friends and enjoying aroma. So please get the word out, let people know that Rosebud's Bath Boutique exists, and that we start out at like $18 to make a candle, and it's a good hour of fun and just enjoying family and friends. So.
All right. Well, look at that. It is 5:58. We made it. I know that last hour was a little bit of a rush, but we're good. Well, I just want to say thanks again so much for coming out. This is, again, the 3-year anniversary to Social Connect. We have 2 more events coming up, and then I'm actually passing the torch because I'm moving on to some different things too. So if you are interested in coming to the next one, we are going bowling, people. We're going bowling. It's going to be at Let It Roll Bowl on August 2nd, and I'm going to just pair you guys up randomly so you guys can connect with bowling partners. So that's what we're going to do, and then October 25th will be the last one, so I'm calling it my last call. So I just want to say thanks again so much. This has been so much fun with the 3 of you, and all of you, thank you for celebrating with us. And if you didn't get some cake, please do. That's again from, I know Stevie's like, this is amazing. Vegan cake. So big shout out to the Plant-Based LLC, Faith Williams. She's been my sponsor since I started. She has a bakery right off Dobson and Elliott with the Croissants Company, so please go there. It is amazing. If you're trying to get away from carbs, probably not the place, but anyway, I want to support her. But I just want to let's give a big shout out and a big round of applause to our panelists. Just thank you so much. One of the reasons I wanted to do the Success Over Struggle is I think what Justin said is that I think a lot of us, we look at people I'm guilty of it too, we look at people online, we get into the comparison trap, we get into the imposter syndrome of that person must have it all. And I want to really dispel the myth that we all started somewhere. We all had to do one step at a time, one day at a time, figure this out, go broke, figure it out on the fly. And I mean, these people have really shown their success over struggle story. And I love that they've just kept it real and kept it authentic, because that's what this is about. So thank you again. I have little gifties for you guys. So thank you for coming. And I just want to say thanks again. 6 o'clock. Here we go. All right. Have a great night, everybody.